Hello, poker people. I'm making this video because I believe that there is an important subject that needs to be discussed amongst the poker community. Normally around this time, we would be holding the TDA Summit where the current rules would be discussed, possibly changes would be made, and new rules would be put in place. I was planning on bringing this up at the next summit, but I don't really know when that's going to be. But I actually think it's a good idea for people to start talking about this now so that we can have a good idea of what the people want before the next summit happens. We don't want to have another first card off the deck situation where the 200 or so people that were at the summit made a decision, it was implemented, and then all hell broke loose and the people didn't like it. And what ended up happening was 2 years later, we changed it back at the next summit. Now, what I want to talk about is the order of the cards. Do we believe that once the dealer has shuffled, cut, and placed the deck in their hand, that the next hand is now predetermined? That we know in a 10-handed game, the first 20 cards are getting pitched off to the players. The 21st card is going to be the burn. 22nd, 23rd, 24th are the flop, etc., etc. It's all predetermined. Or is it? At the last summit in 2019, there was a lot of discussion about randomness and our rules revolving around the fact that everything's random and there is no set order to the cards. But we have so many rules and procedures that are based on that exact belief that the cards do have a proper order and that it is our job to preserve that order whenever possible. One example is misdeals. What happens when a dealer is pitching and he skips a player? We call a misdeal. But why do we call a misdeal? Why don't we just give him 2 random cards? When I first started dealing years and years ago, that was actually the rule in my poker room. It was if you skipped a player while you were pitching, no big deal. Just keep pitching, get him on the next pass, and then give him the last card when you're done pitching. Flop, turn, river, still going to be the same, no big deal. But nowadays, we're calling a misdeal because everybody now has the wrong cards. They have different cards than they would have had if we didn't skip that guy. So we're calling a misdeal. What about dealing in a spot that isn't supposed to have cards? Everybody's got 2 cards. The empty seat has 2 cards. Why don't we just muck those 2 cards and continue playing? Nope, we call a misdeal. We're calling a misdeal because everybody has the wrong cards. And we're going to have a different flop, turn, and river. So misdeal. In 2017, a new rule was added. Rule number 38. It's essentially about not preserving the order of the deck, and randomness applies. The burn card is to protect the stub, not preserve card order. If substantial action occurs and a hand is killed due to the wrong number of cards, all cards of the killed hand are mucked and randomness applies to further dealing. The stub is treated as a normal stub and one and only one card is burned off the stub for each subsequent street. So essentially what it's saying is that if a player's hand is killed because he only had 1 card, we're going to have a different flop, turn, and river. Because only 19 cards were pitched out, not 20. So the 20th card is now going to become the burn, flop, turn, and river are all going to be different. But it's okay, because it's all random, right? When this rule was added, I didn't really have a problem with it. It seemed to make sense, and it made things simple. But at the last summit, when there was all this discussion about randomness and how there isn't a proper order to the deck, the rule for premature turn card was almost changed. We've all seen this happen. The dealer puts out the turn card before all the flop action has finished. We obviously can't use that card. We can't let the players act seeing the future, so we pull it to the side. And then once the flop action is complete, we use the real river for the new turn, right? Why do we do that? Why? We're doing it to preserve 4 of the proper board cards. That's why we're doing it. That's how we've always done it. But what was being suggested was that as soon as that premature turn card comes out, we're actually going to finish the flop action and shuffle that back in right away. What? Right away? No, you can't do that. Why would you shuffle right now? You can't shuffle right now. You're going to lose the real river. The real river's still there. Save the real river. Why would you shuffle now? Now we're going to have 2 random cards. We're only going to have 3 of the proper cards that we were supposed to have. At least let us have 4. Yeah, so it was being discussed that that was going to be the new procedure for a premature turn, that we were just going to shuffle in the premature card right away, and then we'd have a new random turn and random river because it's all random, right? A lot of poker players believe in this order of cards. A lot of them believe that when a dealer is pitching and the dealer flips over an ace and it ruined their pocket aces that they were supposed to have, and now they have ace six off suit. They were supposed to have aces. They were supposed to. It got ruined. As a poker community, we need to decide whether or not we believe that we should be preserving the order of these cards, or that it doesn't matter and everything's random and randomness applies. If we're going to move forward with the randomness mentality, then we need to apply it to all of our rules to be consistent. If we are going to apply randomness to all of our rules, then how far are we going to go? If you think about it, like, does it really matter that the small blind gets the first card? Like, what if the dealer starts pitching in middle position? Does it matter? It's all random, right? Who cares? As long as everyone gets two cards, nobody saw them, it's okay. What I think is that we should be preserving the order of the cards whenever possible. And then if it's not possible, randomness applies. So there are a lot of situations where we can preserve the order of the deck, and a lot of those rules already exist, like a lot of the misdeal situations. But there are other situations where you just can't, like a premature flop. We're not going to save the real turn and the real river before we reshuffle. So in that situation, randomness has to apply. And we're going to end up with a new random flop, turn, and river. Same thing for the second example in the illustration addendum for rule number 38, where a player's hand is being killed because they have too many cards. In that situation, it's not possible to preserve the order of the deck, so randomness has to apply. We can't just take the extra card that that player has and put it on the stub and have it become the burn, because that's defeating the entire purpose of a burn card. So that's another situation where we can't preserve it, therefore randomness has to apply. So now you need to decide, do you believe that we need to preserve the proper order of the cards, or it doesn't matter and it's all random? Please discuss this with your poker people. If you know anybody that attends the TDA Summit, talk with them and get your voice heard. Share this video with other poker people, get people talking about this, because it would be great to have an idea of what everybody wants, what everybody's thinking before this decision is made at the next summit, which affects everybody around the world. Are we going to be believing that there is an actual order to these cards and trying to maintain it whenever possible, or it's random